JKB back with another episode. Today on the show I'm reviewing Pokemon Sword and Shield. Thank you to Nintendo for sending over the review copy. Just a heads up, my capture card wasn't working, so all the footage you see in this video are trailers and footage from Nintendo, and there will be no spoilers in this review. I guess I'll start by saying so much for that boycott. The game has sold over 6 million copies worldwide. The only time I was part of an outrage culture was in 1989 when my mom unplugged my Sega Master System as I was entering the final stage on Wonder Boy. I boycotted her crappy meatloaf dinner that night, and then I realized that nobody else was going to feed me and it was just an accident. She was vacuuming. So that was my time in the outrage culture. Stupid idiots. Anyways, Pokemon Sword and Shield ended up surprising me, considering my first thought that the game gave me was that this was designed to be a 3DS game and it just got ported over to the Switch. In case you've never played a Pokemon game, I'll take a quick second to explain what it's all about. You have one motivation, and that's to become the strongest trainer in the area. You'll do this by building a team of Pokemon and battling, which begins with each trainer tossing out their Pokemon. The battle mechanic is a turn-based idea with rock, paper, and scissors strategy underlining it. Every Pokemon in the game will be one of 18 different types that are in the game, and they offer different moves, which also have different types assigned to them. Within the first 4 hours of play, you'll soon realize that if this is your first Pokemon game, that you'll have a lot of choices to make. Which types of Pokemon do you want to group together? And what about their moves? What do they do? How do they work together? This is the whole point of playing a Pokemon game. You battle and you collect. You figure out what works well and what doesn't really work well when you're going up against different types of Pokemon. That's the game. That's what keeps you going, and it is super addictive. You know, for me personally, one of the funnest things about this game are the evolutions. This is when a Pokemon hits a certain experience level and changes into something else, and it also changes the moves of that Pokemon. So you'd be, using your main over and over and over, and all of a sudden, boom, it's something else. And the design work in this game is really well done on most of the actual Pokemon. Some are a little silly, but I'm an adult, so I can say that. But as a kid, you probably love what I think is silly. So what I'm saying doesn't really matter. But the point here is, evolutions are keeping the game interesting in ways that, you wish that this happened in other games that you play of this nature, where it's super repetitive, same battle system over and over. You figure out the moves once, it'll tell you on screen if you want, what works against this Pokemon, what doesn't work, what's effective, what is not effective. With the evolutions, you get the new moves, keeps things interesting, and obviously evolutions have been around for quite some time in the series, but I just wanted to bring it up. I do love those in this game. Now, as for the story of the game, it's basic as you can get. You're a young boy and you want to become the best trainer. That's about it. You'll do the same thing over and over, but that's what the game is about. It's about combat, and it's about building a team. It's about discovering new Pokemon in the wild. Speaking of the wild, this is the first time in a Pokemon game you can adventure across an open, wild area with an unlocked camera, meaning you could swing the camera around if you see fit. And, well, it's kind of important you do that because Pokemon will, if you get too close to them, run out of a bush and attack you. So don't get too close to certain areas. And again, I don't want to give anything away here, but you will find hidden items in the open world. Items that you can be used to cook, or items that you can sell in town and get some more loot. This is what the game is about. You'll discover a lot of secondary gameplay is found and used during your time spent in the wild area. Also new to the game is the ability to set up a campsite. This camp mode allows the player to spend time interacting or playing with your Pokemon. And this is also where you can cook different types of curry, which provide bonuses for your Pokemon in battle. I felt that this is something that was carried over from Hey Pikachu Go or whatever that game was last called, Hey You Pikachu, and it's interesting. I like it because you can get a different kind of look at your Pokemon. You can sort of see their personalities shine through in the camp mode. The curry system, yeah, it's cool to put abilities on your Pokemon. That's really for the hardcore audience. I think that me as a casual gamer might kind of skip over the campsite a little bit, to be honest. But then, getting into the review again, 10 hours in, you'll want to cook curry all the time. But that's how I played the game. You might play it differently. You might love the campsite. And I think a lot of people that love RPGs will love the campsite because, again, you get to see your Pokemon from a different aspect. And the curry system is fun. It's okay. Another new feature in the game is Dyna Maxing. This is where you can transform the size of your Pokemon once in battle. This will change their moves and increase their stats in the battle as well. You can only do this once in battle, and it only lasts for 3 turns, but you'll kind of only be limited to where you can do this in the game. But it is another layer of depth to the battle system, and when you do it, the animations on screen are just absurd. So seeing some of your favorite Pokemon turn into these giant creatures on screen, well, I shouldn't call them creatures because I'll get yelled at, but when you turn them into these giant Pokemon, it's awesome seeing that and getting that level of power in battle and having it limited. It's awesome. It feels so good to do in games. So it is definitely something that is new in the game that I feel really kind of lives up to what it should have been. Maybe the level of depth to it isn't as high as I thought it would be. It's just this, thing you could do in the game. It's cool. It makes things change up. It feels different. I just wish the game featured something a little more than this, Just something a little more. Having never got into a Pokemon game when I was a kid with my Game Boy in hand, I mean, it feels like I lost something special. All those years of the games, and this is really the first one I took seriously. I think when reviewing a game, it's okay to look at the edges and think, well, it's a little rough. I think it's fair to say that this isn't the best looking game on the Switch, but people have expectations, and should they have expected more? I think it's safe to say that, yeah, they should have, and was it delivered? Maybe not. I think that the game is definitely very dirty around the edges in terms of its graphics. It's not really living up to a graphical standard on the Switch because all games can look, anything from a pixelated game to a realistic looking game. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day as long as it kind of has a lot of fun in the gameplay, right? That's what you would say. But when a game series has been going on for this many years, you kind of want a different evolution. You want something a little bit more than a 3DS port. And yeah, I'm on the side that it kind of feels like a port. But saying that, there's enough to go around in this game to keep you entertained at all times for a very long time. It's the type of game that you can get hardcore invested to. And it's all about your team. It's all about the battles. Which moves work best? Which moves don't? It's about figuring all of that stuff out. Overall, I had a strange up and down experience with the game. I thought, this is it? When I finished the first 6 battles in the game. I caught my first Pokemon and I thought, okay, this is cool. I kind of get it. Okay, I get it. But after 10 hours, I thought, I need to catch them all. That's the power of the battle system in this game. That's the power of Pokemon. I didn't want to get in depth with the systems built up in this game. I simply wanted to remind people that video games can be fun without looking better than anything else out there. I think back to being a kid and how I avoided Pokemon, not because I was too old or I thought it was for younger kids, but mostly because other games filled my time. But I'm happy to say that I now play a pretty cool Pokemon game on my favorite system to date, and that's enough for me. In closing, I'm sure I could talk about the game for hours. There's a lot I didn't go into here, which I think at this point in time, I'm a little late with my review, and again, I apologize. My PC has been acting up, and I couldn't figure it out, and I think I have. But in saying all of that, I know the hardcore gamers out there will see this game just as being too easy. And as a newcomer, I feel that it has a challenge. I know the hardcore gamers out there feel angry about the missing Pokemon and all that other hoopla that happened with the game, and I now understand that. I'm not saying I'm angry about it and I'm going to boycott anything, because clearly nobody boycotted anything, but it's hard when you lose something you love so much. I understand that. And in closing of this review, I'm going to give Sword and Shield a solid 7.5 out of 10. I highly recommend it for anybody that just wants a new experience on their Switch, because this really is a new experience for a lot of people, and the people that have played it seem to be buying it anyways and having a great time with it. There's a level of depth here that a lot of people can feel overwhelmed with. But then again, the hardcore audience will also say by the end of this game, it was quick and there's not much end game, features. Nothing much is happening at the end of the game. So, you can't please everyone. Nintendo, I think they've learned their lesson here. The next Pokemon game, I hope, is an evolution of this. I hope it turns into something that is unbelievable, because this, it works. 7.5 out of 10 is not a bad score. So I'll see you guys on the next episode of JKB.